What's going on, everybody? We are back licking our wounds from an ugly, ugly week 11 or week 10. I don't remember. It doesn't matter at this point. The Bengals knocked us out of Survivor, but we are still here to make our Circa picks and talk about Survivor for this week. What's going on, Rob?
Can you guys repeat what you said before we went live?
I didn't say anything.
Rob, you were right. Rob,
Okay,
you were right.
Thank you.
Rob was right. Rob was right. He suggested the Bears and talked about game theory getting into these later weeks. And, really when you do, you start running out of the top teams and you got to take some risks somewhere. Why not take it against JV high school quarterback Bryce Young?
Yeah, but I didn't say I told you so.
He didn't.
No.
He didn't.
I actually said the Bengals were a fine pick. I didn't fight anyone on taking the Bengals. So, I'm in the same boat.
Yeah, I still remember the Texans entering with 23 players on their injury report, and they still got the upset. I'm still angry at you, Tyler Boyd, for dropping that touchdown.
Well, CJ Stroud is a problem that I won't be betting against much for the rest of the year, but I guess we'll maybe get into that today. As I have a confidence rating on the Cardinals to cover. But the point is, we're going to go through the week of games, break down the points against the spread that Circa set. And we're going to go from there. So let's get right into it. Of course, that Bengals 3.5 looked pretty terrible after Joe Burrow went out. Mark Andrews out for the season now. Just continues the trend of horrible Thursday.
Oh wow,
games.
He's out for the season.
That's what I heard. That's what I heard
Correct.
last night. It's true. Yeah. Lamar got banged up. Any thoughts on that game, guys, before we move on?
I have a thought on just the overall information disclosure issue here and the sports betting markets. So if we're going to regulate sports betting markets in the US, there has to be some level of honest disclosure. And I realize, 10, 15 years ago, the NFL gamesmanship, hide injuries, talk like a guy was going to play when he really wasn't, to throw off game plans. I get all of that. And I'm okay with it. I was okay with it. But now that the NFL has taken such a massive interest in sports betting, I think the disclosures have to be more realistic. And for the Bengals to not disclose an injury to Joe, which obviously was fucking crippling. If you watched him try to throw that pass, I mean, dude couldn't grip the football, right? And then they tweeted an image of him, which subsequently they took down with the whatever on his hand. And so clearly the Bengals knew there was an issue. Clearly this should have been disclosed to the betting public. And I think the NFL has a real problem if they can't figure out a way to force these teams to honest disclosure. I would honestly take a draft pick from the fucking Bengals.
And what would this line be if we knew Joe Burrow was banged up, like 10.5 for the Ravens, an extra touchdown at least?
Burrow's worth 7 or 8 points. I mean,
Tyler, what do you think about this game?
Yeah, I agree with everything Rob said. I mean, that's huge in terms of the way information is being distributed. The game itself was entertaining as someone who just backed the Ravens, but this was just another Thursday night football game of mayhem. People coming in and out due to injuries. I'm glad this wasn't on the main slate.
Now, who would have thought a decade ago ESPN would have a sports book? And I think this kind of aligns with what Rob's talking about here. We're entering an era that's going to be very, very weird for sports betting and pretty unprecedented with, Sports Center's going to have player props for tomorrow and all that.
I'm actually pissed off because to have a good market, you have to have honesty and integrity in that market. If I buy a stock and the CEO of the company I bought didn't disclose that they're going to go bankrupt next fucking week, they go and there's an SEC violation. Like, I think, and part of the problem here is, stock market, et cetera, is governed by a federal agency. each state is regulating these sports books in the way that they see fit. But at the end of the day, if you want to have an honest market and one people can confidently, put money into, there has to be some form of realistic disclosure.
Yeah, and this game, our NFL game, injuries are a bigger factor than ever, as Tyler mentioned, 24 guys on that Texans team last week. But injuries, there's just so much more awareness now and so many more guys sitting out. It's a disaster. Anyway, clip all this, throw it out there, get us some engagement. All right, Steelers-Browns, pick 'em. Rob, you're a 3. Jeff, you're a 4. Tyler, you're a 3 on the Steelers. Tyler, what do you got?
Dorian Thompson-Robinson, a day 3 rookie, UCLA quarterback that's not very great. I think we've got a chance for this game to be a complete blowout favoring the Steelers. The only thing that's negative is this is not at the Steelers' home. That's the only thing that I can put it against them. But DTR was just so dreadful in week 4. He played against Baltimore. They went 4 for 16 on third downs, could not keep drives alive. 3 total points scored by that team. The Ravens just blew the doors off them. I imagine the Steelers do something similar here. The Cleveland defense, the strength is in their passing defense. So I imagine we see a lot of Najee and a lot of Jalen Warren once again. And we saw that last week against the Packers. They ran all over them, and they had success doing it. I think it's going to be a carbon copy footprint of Week 10's game plan inserted here for Week 11.
I can't even believe I'm about to say this, but Matt Canada has figured out a way to hide Kenny Pickett. And they're doing it with the two-headed running attack of, I was told Najee was washed up heading into the season. Clearly not. I mean, guy's playing phenomenal right now, and Jalen Warren right there with him. So, Steelers have figured out how to make this offense work, and the Steelers defense is, they're just beasts. So, Tomlin, divisional game, I don't care if it's up on Lake Erie, give me the Steelers here. I think this is a great spot, and they're kind of a dangerous team right now.
Yeah, the Najee, I started to get worried about Jalen Warren for Najee, and now it's just they're both pretty good. All right. However, the 125 passing yards per week, not cutting it for my George Pickens fantasy value. So really, really not happy there, but what are you going to do?
It's 1979 Steelers football. Right?
It is ugly shit right there. Cardinals, Texans. Cardinals plus 4.5. Rob, you have a 1 here. Jeff, you have a 2 here. I have a 4 here on the Cardinals to cover. Mondo has a 2 on the Texans minus 4.5. I guess my thought is Kyler looked pretty good last week. Cardinals are a well-coached team that we kind of thought would cover early in the year, and they have James Conner back. I do like the Texans. I don't like betting against CJ Stroud as a favorite, but I do think Kyler can cover this weird number here. I mean, it's a weird number, so I get not wanting it, but Rob?
Well, I think this is why you want the Arizona side, because all the things you said are 100% correct. And I'm now getting, over 3. I like this spot a lot. Just, a lot of backdoor potential here with the 4.5.
Tyler?
Yeah, it's just a number play, if anything. I wish it were a lower scoring game because I like backing dogs in low scoring games, given that there's fewer points for them to make up. The game total I'm seeing is 49 points. There's a chance that these defenses are just so bad that it just becomes an offensive shootout, which makes it kind of a fun one for DFS purposes because these guys are probably going to be relatively cheap. But if I were to back a side, it would be the Arizona side.
Absolutely. All right. Next one here, Chargers, Packers. Chargers minus 3. Jeff's a 5. Mondo's a 5. I don't know, man. I don't know, Tyler. You got anything for me here?
It's like Lucy with the football. Are we going to try to chase Brandon Staley and these Chargers on the road? I'm terrified, to be honest. I will say the Packers are 1-5 against the spread over their last 6 games. They are dreadful. But the Chargers, they love keeping opponents in games. That's what they love to do.
Rob?
Yeah, I mean, for me, having just watched Green Bay last week, don't think they, it's a tough game, right? Like, I think the Chargers should beat them handily. I really do. I understand the 5 confidence numbers here, but it's hard for me to also get there to seeing them covering any spread. So, like, I just don't want to lay points, particularly in Lambeau. Like, it's not a good spot, I don't think.
Yeah, and I have to say, I said this on the live stream, watching Arthur Smith and Brandon Staley lose in unison on Sunday was a joy for me. But for that exact reason, if this were Madden and we could user control the teams, then I'd pick the Chargers by 40. But it's a disaster to watch them. And yeah. All right. Next one here. Giants, Commanders. Commanders 8.5-point favorites. Tyler, you're 3.5 on the Commanders. What do you got?
Tommy DeVito. That's what we got. We've got the Italian meatball just doing absolutely nothing under center. Not expecting him to do anything. We've been picking on Bryce Young all season. DeVito is tenfold worse than Bryce Young. Washington at home, nearly over a score, or what is it, 8.5? I forget the line right now. Yeah, 8.5. Yep, I'm seeing it on the screen. Absolutely absurd for Washington to have that kind of spread, but I don't see how the Giants cover. They've just been absolutely dreadful these last 2 weeks. Washington should be able to put up a ton of points against this defense, and I think this passing attack for Washington really gets going here, and then they close it out with a big Brian Robinson game. The Giants are so freaking bad, guys.
Yeah, I could get behind it. I don't have an issue with it. I certainly don't have an argument for the other side.
I don't want to watch this game. I don't think any of us do. This is going to be on the ticker on the side, and when a touchdown is scored, we'll have red zone to bail us out there. But good Lord. Let's move on. But yeah, Tyler, I don't disagree. I think that is the side if I'm picking one. DeVito. Once they open it up, I mean, he's just a pick six waiting to happen. Jags -7. Jeff's a 3. I'm a 2. Mondo's a 4. I know Trevor Lawrence, again, using the high school JV reference. He looked completely shook from the first snap against the 49ers. I had my little Jags emblem, and it was quickly put down and put away last Sunday. That was embarrassing. They are still 6-3. This is a good team. It's Will Levis in his 3rd or 4th start. And again, we saw great Will Levis the first week, and now we've seen other Kentucky Will Levis these past couple weeks. This Jags team is still pretty good. Rob, you got any thoughts here?
No, I mean, I think, Jags is the clear side here. I worry about the 7 number. I'm going to give Lawrence a pass for last week just because San Francisco has made a lot of people look pretty stupid this year. So, I'm okay with this. I'm okay with this pick. I'm just waiting to see the Trevor Lawrence I was promised. And, adding Calvin Ridley to the mix was supposed to be the saving grace. And I'm just waiting for this offense to turn into what I was told it was going to be.
Same here, partner. Same here. What do you got, Tyler?
Nothing really. Just the Jaguars games have kind of started slow, and if anything, I would lean toward the under. And again, I kind of repeat myself in these segments, but it's because it makes sense, and the trends back it. Where if they're getting games under 40, backing the dog, that's like a touchdown or more makes sense historically. I'm staying away from this one, but I'll follow the group. I was the only one on Washington, so I might move mine over to Jaguars just to be part of the group.
Yeah. Jags -7 after last week feels pretty
sketchy.
Uncomfortable. Yeah, but I'm in. All right, Bears Lions. Rob, you're a 2 on the Bears to cover, and you're the only one who touched this game. So give us a quick taste. What's going on?
This was kind of a shot at you guys not listening to my Bears pick last week. So I just put a little number here, a little sprinkler on the Bears, just as a little salt in the wound is the real reason I put a number there. I think the Bears can't actually cover this number, though. I mean, 8. It's good. It's a good number. I'd be okay taking the Bears. We're not going to do it, so it was a spite pick. Remember Larry David put up the spite coffee shop? This was a spite pick.
Okay, well, there we go. I like that. Tyler, any thoughts on the spite pick? I'm a big spite pick guy myself. Just usually with fantasy. So what do you got? You a spite guy? I don't feel like you're a spite guy.
I'm not. No, that's not my wheel.
Yeah.
No, I'll leave that to you guys. This one will be fun though. I think this is gonna be a fun game. The game total here is 48. I wouldn't mind. So like unders have been hitting at an insane rate, but this would be a game I wouldn't even mind betting the over. I think just both these past defenses are teams you want to throw against. And we've got Justin Fields coming back, who was ready to play last week. They just kept him off for preservation's sake. If they just wanted him to come back fully healthy, practicing in full all this week. I think he and DJ Moore connect a ton here against the Lions, who have really fallen back in their secondary over the last 4 weeks. Like they're like bottom 3 in EPA per pass, bottom 3 in pass success rate over the last month. There's a chance that we see this game competitive. So if I were to pick a side, it would probably be the Bears +8.
Let me ask you guys a football question, and this relates to the unders. So, and Russ brought this up a few weeks ago. It seems like teams, their goal now is to suck as much clock as possible on every single drive. Is this intentional? Is this the new NFL? It just feels like, and I even saw some of this last night, it just felt like they're just prolonging drives as long as they possibly can.
I think it's a combination of factors, but one of them specifically is quarterback play. I mean, you just talked about it earlier with the Steelers being able to successfully hide Kenny Pickett. 5 years ago, Ben Roethlisberger was throwing for 300 yards every game, and Antonio Brown was crushing, and they were putting up 30 points a game. So we go from that to that. Tommy DeVito's starting. We just got all these, and then we got Jalen Hurts, like was the topic here, able to successfully just crush teams with time of possession. So I think it's a lot of factors, but that's definitely a real thing. Tyler, you mentioned defenses playing things differently now. I mean, is that kind of what's happening as well?
They've shied a lot away from playing man-heavy defenses and playing a lot more zone. They're switching back and forth between cover 1 and cover 2 and cover 3 and stuff, where that back end mixing up is also slowing things down. But they make opposing offenses take these long methodical drives because they're trying to limit explosive plays. And I think we're seeing that really be the counter move to like the defense, like actually throwing the counter punch to all these successful offenses. The way to beat it to me is like utilizing a lot of motion, like pre-snap motion, which is why we're seeing the Dolphins kick ass because they're doing it at like an absurdly high rate. But not many teams are following that footstep. But I think we're seeing so many defenses play back in zone that it forces offenses to take the underneath stuff. And because of that, they're long, methodical drives, scoring's taking longer to occur. There's just a lot less points, but that's kind of what I'm seeing right now.
And Tyler, the way to beat it is actually to heave up a 40-yard ball and pray for a PI.
Yeah.
Which we've seen decide way too many games this year. And maybe the rules committee removes that spot foul, which I am actually in favor of because I think we saw it last night, right?
Yeah. Monday Night Football decided that Broncos and Bills game.
Yeah. So I do think, let's beat this thing. Just throw up a 40-yard Hail Mary and get a PI.
That's a very basketball-y play. Is it flopping? Is it not? Are they actually trying to complete the pass, or is that just throwing it up there to
Dude, he was untouched last night. I mean, that PI call, I was screaming on my couch. I'm like, what the fuck are we doing?
Oh, yeah. The Zay Flowers touchdown. Yes, that was silly.
That's where you're talking about an honest market where some, sports bettors who's a fan of the Ravens is like, oh, this is rigged. I'm out. So it's not rigged. It's just bad reffing 95% of the time. But yeah, that stuff. Anyway. All right. Raiders running at the ball 40 times a game with Josh Jacobs, 13.5. Jeff's a 1 here. I'm a 3 here on the Ravens to cover. I just think that's a lot of points. And I think this Raiders team with Antonio Pierce is able to cover 2 touchdowns. It's not too strong of a lean here, but I'm getting weird with our picks this week, trying to get some plus money on the board here. What do you got, Tyler?
The Raiders, if I'm not mistaken, are one of those defenses that prevents a lot of explosive plays over the top. They're the ones that are going to make you do the dink and dunks. So I'm really excited for this match because we were just talking about pre-snap motion. Here comes Miami with an extra week to prepare coming off the bye. They're playing at home. Everyone's getting pretty healthy. I think there's a chance that we see a 40 burger from Miami. We look back on the DFS slate and say, why didn't we triple stack the Dolphins? It's the Raiders. I don't see it, guys. The 13.5 is a lot of points, but this is one of the best offenses in the league against a team playing for nothing.
I almost had Miami. I think I did have a number and moved it here. Me, Mr. Don't take big spreads, just because, they're coming out of a bye week. Like, they got beat in an embarrassing way, I thought, in Germany, right? And so McDaniels, I think they cover this number pretty handily. And I think they do it in a little bit of style.
Interesting. Well, we may see a little spreadsheet movement with these next couple picks with that 3 confidence. But for now, it doesn't matter. We're not picking the Raiders. But all right, moving on. Cowboys minus 10.5. 2 scores against the Panthers. Tyler, in theory, this should be 50-0. With 2 fumble return touchdowns and Dak Prescott throwing for 400 yards. Does that happen?
I don't know about that one, but the Dallas Cowboys have been a team that just blows the doors off other opponents. They had that massive spread last week against the Giants, covered it with ease. Bryce Young, we've been picking on him all year, guys. Now he goes up against the number 1 pass rush in the league, against a defense that plays really stoutly. In the secondary as well. They've got some injuries, but this is still a good team all around by Dallas. I think they cover this 10.5 point spread. There's some massive spreads this week, but I think some of them get covered.
Yeah, my true number here is about 13.5. Home field's worth 2.5 to 3, but little inside baseball, this Carolina fan base, this is not going to be a friendly crowd to the Panthers. Like, this fan base is fucking miserable. And, part of me thinks like they'd rather play on the road right now because this fan base is so fucking miserable. So, and Dallas looks good. So, I have no problem them covering 2 scores here. 2 touchdowns.
I have a buddy, Dave Bombard. Shout out to Dave. He picked the Panthers as his team. We grew up in Massachusetts. Picked the Panthers first grade. I'll remember. Big fan of Moose Muhammad and Tim Biakabatuka.
Jake Delhomme.
And he screwed himself, and he is livid. He is livid right now. No first. This Bryce Young, I just get block text messages every couple of days. Like, can you believe? Is that what it's like, Rob?
100%. The fan base here is absolutely miserable. You talk to any local fan and they're just fucking. It's a college like they've all moved on to college basketball. So,
well, that makes sense for them. All right, Bucks plus 11.5 here against the 49ers. 49ers team, fully healthy 49ers, not a team. We talked about it. That line stunk last week. Even though I love the Jags, it was like a clear stay away. Why are the Jags 3-point dogs at home? So Rob, what are you looking at with this line? 11.5 is kind of a weird one.
11.5 is a very weird number. And, I realize San Francisco is fully healthy. Are they going to put the pedal down? I don't know what their average margin of victory has been. This just feels like a lot of points for them to cover to me. So I just give me Tampa Bay and the 11.5 here on the road. Feels
Tyler.
Like
I kind of am leaning that way as well. I don't really have any strong takes on like why the 49ers would be able to cover. Except for like the injuries for the Bucks. Like, they've got a lot going on in the secondary with both their starting corners. I think one of their safeties as well, kind of banged up. So there's a chance that we just see a big first half from the 49ers, and then they just put it in cruise control. And that's how the Bucks are able to backdoor this one, because Baker Mayfield, he's still got that gamer in him. He's not going down without a fight, and Mike Evans has looked phenomenal this year.
Yeah. Is Godwin fully healthy?
Yes, I
Yeah.
believe so.
He's had a
Not on the
disappointing
injury report.
season.
Yeah, he's good to go.
All right. I like that one. I'm moving one of my confidence ratings to that. This just stinks. And I think after last week, everyone's just going to lock in 49ers. All that public money is probably going to come in on 49ers. All right. We got a weird one next. Seahawks, Rams. Seahawks 1-point favorites at home or on the road against the Rams. But how much of a home favorite are the Rams with that lack of home field advantage? What do you guys got here?
Nothing really.
Yeah,
This is a tough one.
Yeah.
I wish I could offer more analysis than that. But I'll say the Rams are coming out of their bye week, so they've got an extra week to prepare. Stafford looks fully healthy. What they was it Carson Wentz they signed like 2 weeks ago? Looks like he's going to stay on the shelf. The way to beat the Seahawks is over the middle, so we'll probably see a lot of Cooper Kupp. I think he's an interesting option here, but I don't really have a strong take on this one. It feels like a pick 'em, and that's what the spread indicates.
Yeah. Totally agree. I've got nothing other than, what Geno Smith do we get?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's frustrating.
The Rams team without Stafford, I mean, Seahawks are a touchdown favorite, but with Stafford, this is fair. All right, next one here. Bills, Jets. Tyler, you're a 3 on the Jets to cover. I'm a 1. Bills are just in shambles. They're in freaking shambles, and it's not just, fluky week 1 loss to the Jets. It's not just, they screwed around. It was London. This is like, whoa, what is going on here? I'm not used to seeing the Bills like this, losing these weird games. I will say Broncos might be better than we think, but Rob, you got a take here?
Well, yeah, growing up in the 80s and 90s, I am used to seeing the Bills like this. It's exactly what they remind me of. I had an interesting conversation with a Bills fan yesterday, and the Bills Mafia has put so much pressure on this team. It's like they're the damn New York Yankees. I mean, the expectations are so high the last 3 years coming into the season. Like, it's hard to live up to, Super Bowl or bust. Josh has not looked very freaking good. I'm sure you guys saw the all 22 view of him making some bad choices against zone defense. And so I don't know, if you told me the Jets cover, I'd say, okay. I'd also say Zach Wilson's still the quarterback there, I believe. This is probably, and I'll let you guys say it, but this is probably more of the Jets defense is fucking amazing and the Bills offense is in shambles right now.
Yeah, that's my thought process. And the Bills, even when they're winning, they're not really blowing people out. And Josh Allen running a lot less than previous years, which I like for his longevity, but effectiveness of the offense makes it much worse. So, I don't know how well Josh Allen was going to age if he continued to just bowl his way into linebackers. They're stopping him from doing that, but I do think that's taking away from the offense a little bit. Tyler, any thoughts there?
Bills offense just in a tailspin right now. They've got less than a week because they're coming off Monday Night Football to install a brand new offense. Against this Jets defense, which I just can't get out of my mind. Like the previous games from last year, where it seemed like every snap, Josh Allen was like under duress facing this Jets defensive line. Jets look great and defensively this season. I think that there's a good chance that we see them cover this. The last 3 games between these franchises, 22-16, the Jets won in overtime. That was week 1 this year. The Bills won one of the games last year, 20-12. So that was an 8-point game. Then the other one was 2017 Jets. So they've been 3 straight games between these 2 franchises that are 1-score games. Give me the Jets here as a 1-score favorite. The only thing that sucks is Zach Wilson's play. There's a good shot that he provides next to nothing. But this Bills defense is totally destroyed by injuries. Every single level, defensive line, linebackers, secondary, they are very, very thin. This is not the same group that came out in week 1. And I think we see a good shot where Garrett Wilson puts up like a massive outing here, where this team has really struggled defending opposing wide receiver ones.
Yeah, or one little Brees screen, like one or two touchdowns, and we're safe with this one, I think. So, all right, moving on to just it's barren waste. Nobody touched this game. I would not suggest touching this game. Josh Dobbs, this weird Broncos team, Broncos 2.5. Rob, you got to read.
Well, I want to know why the Jets didn't go after Josh Dobbs. I mean, Cincinnati or Minnesota look like freaking geniuses now going and getting Dobbs. What a deal for those guys. At the same time, like, is Russell Wilson really cooking again? Like, what's going on there in Denver? Dude did not look. Actually, he looked good. He didn't look okay. He looked pretty good last week. So I don't know. I don't want to mess with it, but it's an intriguing game just from a viewership perspective.
Fun to watch for sure. This Josh Dobbs, I did not see this coming, but he's been one of the more entertaining guys. Tyler?
Yeah, he's caught lightning in a bottle. Now he faces a Broncos team that's been so bad and defensively, like against the run, against the pass, you name it. I think that there's a chance that this makes for a good teasing game where you grab the Vikings at like plus 8.5. I think we have the wrong graphic here. It should be Denver minus 2.5. But there's a chance that I think the Vikings don't get blown out. They've got some magic here with Josh Dobbs and this whole Creed thing going on in remembrance of Kirk Cousins. I'm loving the social media aspect.
Oh God. All right. Moving on. Eagles Chiefs. Great game. Excited for this one. Tyler, you're a 4 on the Chiefs to cover. Mondo's a 1 on the Chiefs to cover. Rob, you got a take here?
Yeah, I mean, here's the real wild card for me in this game is the Swifts and the Kelseys are meeting at this game, I'm told. The parents are meeting for the first time at this game, and I have no idea how that impacts Travis Kelce's play on the field. I mean, if it were me, I'd be concerned like what my dad is saying to my prospective, future father-in-law. Like, you have to factor that in a little bit. But outside of that, I mean, great game. KC probably covers.
You actually do have to probably factor that into Travis Kelce's brain. Dad, please don't say anything stupid to Taylor Swift. Please don't say anything stupid. All right. Tyler?
Nothing really to add. This is going to be a fun game, though. This is the game of the week. Monday Night Football matchup. Chiefs at home. I think that's a huge thing here. Getting them under a field goal. Give me Mahomes under a field goal anytime we can.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so now's the portion of the show where we review everything here, look at some survivor picks. Again, Cowboys 10.5-point favorites, but you want to save them for next week. Rob, anything stick out here as sort of game theory type plays this week?
I think this is a terrible game theory week, if I'm being honest. I think this is, God, it's going to be Washington is going to be the team. Washington's where I'll go. So, I think all the reasons Tyler said about the Giants are correct. Washington should walk here. So I think this is going to be 60% Washington in the contest. The problem is when you scan this board and consider the teams that you actually have available, there's not a lot of good spots for you to go to. So, for me, probably not a great game theory week. This is get a win from Washington, get the Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Tyler?
Yeah, I'm in lockstep too. I talked with this about Armando in his podcast that Washington, this is like the 1 week where you'd feel comfortable using them. Like it's Sam Howell at the end of the day. It's still a pass defense that can give up a boatload of points. I just don't think they give them up to Tommy DeVito. So give me them here at home. Just a straight money line bet. Yeah, I think Washington's the way to play Survivor this week.
Yeah, most people have already used the Dolphins, the Lions, maybe a Jags week if you still have them.
Well, a lot of people are saving Detroit and Dallas, right? Because those are two options for Thanksgiving. So sort of take those off the board.
Yeah, and that Rams-Seahawks game, that Vikings-Broncos game, you probably don't want to put your life on the line for those teams. So
That's what I mean. It's a bunch of coin flips. It's not like Chicago versus Bryce Young. Like that was not a coin flip, but a lot of these other ones are.
Yeah, you can talk me into Steelers against DTR. I think.
Yeah,
against a rookie making his second career start, I think that's also a solid play.
But you're not going to want to use Washington in too many other spots outside of this week when you scan their schedule. So it's like, okay, take the shot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's pretty much it for us, guys. Thank you for tuning in. Like and subscribe on the YouTube channel if you're checking this out on the old fantasyguru.com website. We appreciate you. Rob, anything else to throw out there before we head out?
No, nothing else from me. I mean, let's bring some transparency, though, to the injury reporting, please.
Tyler, got any PSAs before we head out?
Hit unders. They are smashing this year.
There we go. When in doubt, hit the under this year. Love it. All right, all. Thank you for tuning in, and we will see you guys next week.